Hello, English learners. Welcome back to the Level Up English podcast. Thank you for joining me here again. I've got an interview today with an English learner. Although it's a bit strange to call him a learner because his English is so good that I don't know, maybe he wouldn't consider himself a learner anymore. But let's say not a native English speaker. Let's put it that way. He's got some really, really amazing insights. So I'm really happy to share our conversation with you today. I also want to briefly mention if you want to support the podcast, then you could try becoming a Level Up English member. So head over to our website, become a member. You can support the podcast, get the transcripts for the episodes, and you can get lots of perks as well, like courses, group lessons with me, things like that. So, yeah, regarding this episode today, I am posting this both on YouTube and on the podcast. So you can watch the video or you can listen to the audio, whatever you prefer. For the video, I will say the first 3 minutes or so, there's kind of been a mistake where you cannot see me. You can only see my guest, Alex, for the first 3 minutes. But after that, it will be better. So I apologize for that, but it will get better. Also, there were a couple connection issues at the beginning. I did my best to edit them out, but towards as we get further into the episode, the connection does improve. So if it does bother you in the beginning, keep listening and it will get better, I promise. So 2 kind of little mistakes I made today. I hope you can look past it. I hope you can still get the benefits of our conversation, because I really think there were a lot of good things we spoke about today from the point of view of a learner and a teacher as well. So Alex is from Barcelona in Spain, and he reached out to me and a really nice message, and he wanted to share his experience with language learning. And I'm really glad that we did connect because we had a good conversation. And what I will say as well is this is something I try to do on this podcast with my guests. Is I try to have a range of different people, different backgrounds, different accents as well. So we've had a lot of guests in the past from America, Australia, and other countries around the world, other accents in the UK. So keep in mind, when you're listening, when you're listening to this episode, you don't have to listen to received pronunciation British accent all the time. If you do that, you're not going to have the best understanding in the world of listening. So I really think it's important to expose you to different accents. And of course, Alex is from Spain. So although his English is fantastic, there's still an accent different to mine, of course. So I hope it's good practice for you and enjoy. So I am joined today by Alex. Thank you very much for joining me.
Hello, Michael. How are you today?
I'm very good. I'm really happy we could talk. You sent me a very, very well-written email, and I'm happy to have you on. So could you start by giving like
Thank
an
you.
introduction? Like where are you from? I mean, where are you right now? Maybe it's different.
Yes, sure. So, well, I am Alex. I was born and raised in Barcelona, but my father is from Pamplona, up north in Spain. I don't know if your listeners are very familiar with Pamplona. And I am currently in Pamplona. I've been here since the 9th of December because my actual home since the 1st of July of 2016 is London. But right now I'm here because I came here just for holidays because actually I'm studying in university. I started this January international business management, and I'm also a polyglot. I speak Spanish, Catalan, English, Italian, and
So
so
that's
yeah.
kind of about 5 languages or 4 languages, right?
Yeah, 4 languages I'm fluent.
Wow.
Well, Spanish and Catalan are native.
Okay. So
Then English. I speak English. I learned it in school, but where I improved my English was in London.
mhm.
And then Italian. I also learned it in London because I've been surrounded and immersed with a lot of Italian people, so I got the chance to learn it, and I'm very good at it actually, and I really like Italian language.
Wow,
So yeah,
fantastic.
that would be a bit of an introduction. Yeah.
Good, yeah, really good introduction. I mean, it's you sound like you know more languages than me, definitely. So maybe a natural question that people might have is, do you think you have a knack for languages? Which means, do you have a natural ability, or do you think it's hard work or something else?
I would say I've got an ability, because what I've seen in many, for example, Spanish people that lives in London too, that although they have been living in London for several years, it's complicated for them to absorb the language. They get to a basic level of speaking, and they probably understand everything from a native speaker because they've been for several years living there, but they got to a point where it's very difficult for them to keep on improving. And for me, I don't know, I have this ability, but I would also say that I've got like a passion, or maybe I enjoy looking for things, or I try to always go an extra mile when it comes to languages. I think I've got an interest for it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think interest definitely helps, doesn't it? Wow. So,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah, you're saying like London you consider to be your home at the moment, right? Even though you're not there. Did I get that right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. What was your experience like in London? Yeah, as you were going to say, how long were you in London? Um, what was your impression of London when you got there, and then what was it now? Maybe all that kind of stuff.
Well, I got in London when I was only 20 years old.
Mhm.
I was a kid, we could say. And well, the impression you get from London is such a cosmopolitan and multicultural city where each individual can can you can be yourself. You don't have the boundaries you might have in your hometown or whatsoever. And also, you've got plenty of opportunities, um, like job wise.
Mhm.
So I started meeting loads of individuals from every corner in the world, because one of my first jobs in London was in Brick Lane Market on Sundays. It was like only 1 day job because I had another job in a restaurant. And I was going through that area, and I was meeting a lot of people from anywhere, and it was like mind blowing, we could say, because you were. So
Mm.
I fell in love with London from that point. And after 4.5 years there, and I can say that I've got a bit of a love-hate relation with London, because
Okay.
I love it for all the good part that it has, but it is also too crowded, which is stressful, because you need to live with people. When you go to the street, it's plenty of people everywhere,
Mhm.
and this is certainly stressful. I believe that human beings, we are naturally not prepared to live in such crowded cities. I think that is something which is a reality, but we don't have other choice, it looks like. And also, I miss the sometimes the food from Spain, especially. I think maybe no offense taken for you as a Brit, but I consider that your gastronomic culture is quite poor in Britain. And for me, as a born and raised in a Mediterranean city, I think the culture here, it's way higher. So
Mm.
that's something I really miss, the quality of the ingredients in the food.
Yeah, that's a good
But
point.
yeah,
Yeah,
that would be it.
yeah, good, good. I like that. I mean, I would agree. I think there's a reason why you go to the UK or London, you get Spanish restaurants, Mexican restaurants, Indian, Chinese restaurants, everything. But in Spain, you don't really see like English restaurants. We're not known for our food. But we do have a lot of good restaurants here. But yeah, not really British food, perhaps. Um, And yeah, in terms of
What
like,
I gather
yeah,
regarding food, what I gather is that British, they love any kind of food. They can try anything, but they don't have the essence. You know what I mean regarding food, like maybe Italian or Spanish or any part of the Mediterranean has. For example, you can adapt Indian cuisine, no, because one of the main dishes in Great Britain is chicken tikka masala,
mm-hmm.
which is not an Indian dish, but it's an adaptation of an Indian dish. So what I gather from my experience in London, and I also worked in hospitality industry, is that British people, they don't have boundaries or limitations regarding foods, but they are not very genuine in food. And you don't give the importance we do give to, for example, having a meal, sitting down, having a meal with your family or whatsoever.
Yeah.
You can more have a meal on the run. So it's just different. It's just different culture.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we don't have the kind of, in so many cultures around the world, people are kind of, they take meals so seriously, like they sit down with the family, it's family time, or maybe they kind of have more respect for their food. There's many countries in Asia where like you're not really supposed to eat while you're walking because it's like disrespectful. But in the UK,
Exactly.
it's just like, microwave meal, eat quickly. Um, I feel like people often don't have the respect, or they don't treat it like a, you know, same level of importance as other countries, maybe.
Yeah, I consider it a ritual.
Yeah, ritual, exactly. Yeah. Um, but I think, yeah, London at the moment is quite nice because I don't know if you've been here much during the pandemic, but I found in the center of
Yes,
London
I have.
now, yeah, it's really quite quiet. Like the central stations, walking through like by the River Thames, it's not very many people, so it's quite nice to walk around at the moment, but maybe won't last for long.
I live in Camden myself.
Ah,
In Yep. So I moved there the 1st of November. So I was actually only 1 month there, but it was a lockdown,
hmm.
and so there is obviously no tourists at the moment. So it was good, it was okay. Although the canal and all this area, it was still crowded by the locals, but yeah, it is nice, that it's not as crowded. But anyway, there is, as far as I'm concerned, there is too many people around in London. It's like always it's packed. And
Yeah.
now that I'm here in Pamplona, I can feel the difference. You've got your space. I think it's something quite essential for the individual to not be always like packed like a sardine.
Yeah, exactly. You can feel like yourself relaxing a bit more in a more rural area, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we can go a bit more to like language learning. Maybe I think you might have some good advice or good experiences that you can share. So when
Yes,
it came to
yes,
learning
certainly.
English for you, um, were there any differences compared to like English and the other languages that you've learned in terms of the
Well,
maybe the difficulty or the way you went about learning them?
yes. Well, firstly, I have to say that both my parents speak English,
Mm,
you know, so that is an advantage because both of my parents like always try to tell me that it is very important to speak English. That is, they always push me. I always had some extra classes apart from school. I was also in USA when I was 16 or 17 for a month and a half. you know so I always been pushed by my family. So
mhm.
when I got to London, I had a good basic level. Okay. But on top of that, what I say is that you need to expose yourself to the language. You need to, because it's very easy to stay in the comfort zone, especially when you are an immigrant, as I am. You can always stay with your Spanish community or your whatever your community is, right? So what I tried to do from day one is I met friendship. He's still my friend, an Irish guy, Pete. So I was going to the pub he was working, and I was trying to speak with Irish people, which was
Mm.
very hard at the beginning, like really, really hard. It was like my first month in London. And, I could not understand 100% what they were saying to me, but I could follow the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
which was very good at the moment, because I was speaking with Irish people that they were over 50, most of them, and they were drunk. So imagine how hard and the situation was, Try to listen to podcasts, try to watch movies, but try to look for a different variety of exposure to the language. It's not enough just reading. It's not enough just listening to podcasts. It's not enough just speaking, although speaking is the best way to learn,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I'm concerned. But try to look for different methods of getting the language to you, because
That's great advice. So yeah, perseverance, daily practice, lots of exposure for listening, for reading, for writing, for speaking, and yeah, maybe get outside of your comfort zone. Just to kind of summarize what you said, right? Yeah, I like that. I
yeah,
like that.
nowadays it's complicated now with the pandemic because
Yeah.
you cannot go anywhere. But I don't know, there is always ways. I think another tip that I would give to anyone that is willing to learn a language or whatever you want to learn is that try to get rid of limitations that sometimes we impose to ourselves, like, oh, I cannot do this or I cannot do that. You are capable of much more than what you think you are, and just try to go the extra mile, because otherwise you will just get the limitation. Maybe when you were young, they told you, oh, you are not good enough. Well, maybe that wasn't true, but you believed it and it remained with you for a very long period of time. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so we always have this negative self-talk, don't we? Like sometimes we don't realize it, but in our heads we're saying like, "Oh, I don't, I don't have the ability to learn a language. I'm not a language learner, or maybe I'm not good enough, or something like that." And yeah, I think it's just not true. Anyone, as you said, you're capable of much more than you realize. So yeah, I think that's
Absolutely,
nice to remember.
absolutely. And
Definitely.
because identity, our identity is something that is given by our environment, right? You
Mm-hmm.
are Michael because someone gave you that name, or me, I'm Alex because someone gave me that name. So, that is, you cannot get rid absolutely of that identity that is being given to you by how you've been raised or whatsoever. But you need to try to separate a bit from those boundaries of your environment and now try to make an identity by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
although it sounds complicated in some cases.
I love that. I love that. So I might even remember that. I put that like on a quote on my the blog post for this podcast. Like, what was it you said? Your identity is, you say, shaped or a product of your environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
amazing.
That identity is something that it's given to you, like
Mm,
it's shaped by your environment. I think you found a better word,
by accident.
because you wouldn't be the same person, although your DNA is the same, if you were raised maybe just 5 miles away.
Hmm.
No, no, not, let's say, if you were raised in Asia, you will be a totally different individual, right? Although your DNA is the same, although there are some limitations or things that will be with you for the rest of your life. Try to be smart enough to, like, to separate what is being given to you, what you really are, or what you really want to be, because otherwise you will be stuck
Hmm.
for that identity that it's been given to you, let's
Hmm.
say. So I was just saying that maybe in school, someone said something to you, and it's something that it's part of your identity, and
Mm.
it's something negative, you know because when you're a kid, when all this identity is shaped, or you absorb more what your environment says to you. It was just to conclude.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, I think we've got the connection is a little bit slow today, so we might talk over each other a little bit. But yeah, I was going to say it's really important to realize that because it means you can change your environment, change your surroundings, and that will affect your identity as well. So, if a practical example, if you're surrounding yourself with English or maybe friends who are learning English or whatever you want to do in life, then I think that can have a strong effect on you and who you are. So yeah, I think we can use that
Exactly.
to our advantage, right? Hmm.
Absolutely.
So do you have a like are you actively studying English now? Like do you have a study routine or anything?
Nah, I cannot say that I'm studying, but I exposed to the language
Mhm.
on a daily basis. I listen to your podcasts, for example, or now I'm listening to Brazilian Portuguese podcasts as well. I watch series. Now I'm studying as well. I'm studying university
Hmm.
in London, so I'm reading loads of contents in English. And for instance, when I'm watching a movie or a series, if I don't understand anything, or if there is like an expression or something, I pause and I look for it and I look for examples because I really like that. Like I don't know what was the yesterday I was watching a movie and it was saying that life's such a rich tapestry, right?
Yeah, tapestry.
Which is tapestry. Sorry. And tapestry, it's something that you use like for the furniture and stuff, isn't it? So I will that's something interesting for me, and I post and I look for it and what was the meaning, what was the origin. And I also like a lot of etymology,
Hmm.
because Spanish and English, they are very related, because English has a very very big Latin base, and also there are a lot of words that come from Greek. So I also sometimes when I'm learning new words or new expressions, I try to look for the etymology, for to look like to the real root or the core of the word. That's something that
Yeah.
I really like. But some people might find this boring or whatsoever, but yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm fascinated by that. Like if you go back and look at like the Greek prefixes or the Latin roots of words, and I think if it does interest you, I think it can help you understand the language more deeply, and you notice the patterns, right? You notice every word that starts with miss is something like wrong, misunderstand or misjudge, like wrong judge. So I think it does help you with learning new words as well if you're interested in the history and the etymology. But yeah, it's a
Yes.
good habit, definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, that's good. So has your like routine or style changed at all since the pandemic started? Because obviously you can't meet people now, you can't do many things. Has anything changed?
Look, if I have to be frank, for me, the pandemic has had a very, very positive outcome on a personal level, because, well, I've been on furlough now. Well, I've been laid off from work. Well, job situation is not good. Okay,
Hmm.
but I had some issues in my bowel. Like I was having some digestive issues. That it was all stress related. So I had the chance to start studying nutrition. I changed my diet, so to a very, very much more healthy one. And then in September, I decided to start studying. I got a certificate for being a teaching assistant, and I also did a course, an English course, functional skills. It was everything linked to my council where I was living before, Walden Forest. I was living in Leighton, East London. So for me, I changed my habits. Yeah, I changed all my habits and I started studying, and now I got into university. So thanks to the pandemic, I can say I got the chance to put things into perspective
Hmm.
and to redirect my life or the path I was taking before, which wasn't very organized. And I had some things I wanted to improve for a very long period of time, but you know, I always had work, or I always had to pay the bills, or I was stressed, So
Hmm.
yeah, for me it was very positive outcome. I mean, I don't want it to last forever, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to see the positive side of things, because I think in the end of the day, life is a sum of all of our choices, right? So I think now is a good time to like chill out a bit and to see what you want to do, or especially what you don't want to do anymore, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, everyone has like a different journey and a different goal in life, maybe. But yeah, I think for many people, they can see some silver lining or some um it's hard to say good because it's not a good situation right now, but people are having more time for things. People are spending more time alone so they can be more self-reflective and think about it could be language learning or think about healthy eating and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it can be a good time, a powerful time for people to change, can't it?
Yeah, certainly. And yeah, I think because what you say about a goal, I didn't have a goal before, and I don't know if I have it
Mm,
yet. Okay, like a specific goal that I'm gonna go for that. Maybe I don't have that, but at least I'm trying to. I've got passions. I think the most important thing in life, apart from a dream or a goal, that this is very important. You need to set yourself some objectives, because
mhm,
otherwise you get stuck. But it's very important to try to find a passion, something that really that you really enjoy, and it really makes you like feel alive or whatsoever, because in the end of the day, a passion is what it's going to take the best out of you. And if from that passion you can make a living, then you are very you're privileged, because
mm,
so. But firstly, you need to look for that passion, because maybe you can have let's say a work that you don't really enjoy, but on your free time you can enjoy of that passion. That would create a balance.
mhm.
And then you work hard to get that passion as a job, although situation it is quite complicated at the minute. But I think that's like a broad perspective of what I think is a good path of action.
So how do you think you can find a passion? Very hard question. Or and how do you like do you think it's also possible for people to make English their passion? Maybe they don't have much motivation now, but is it possible to force English into a passion?
I mean, you cannot force anything into a passion, you know, that would become a frustrated passion.
Mm,
But for me, the passion, one of my biggest passions in life is also music, you know. I think any kind of music. So I use music like to balance my mood and stuff, It depends on the mood. I play one genre of music or the other. And with languages, they are so it's because what people doesn't understand, that when you speak several languages, is like your range of communication, it's expanded,
mhm,
so you know way better your emotions and your feelings, because for instance, I can say that I'm sad in four languages, or that I'm happy in four languages, and express that in four different languages. That means that my introspective way of knowing myself, it's gonna be upgraded,
mm,
you know so it's not only the fact that, okay, I speak English, so I can have a better job, or because people always are focusing on the outcome, especially financial, because I think the most practiced ideology nowadays is greed. People only thinking in greed, or that's something that, yeah, it's I understand that, but it's only gonna finish in frustration. You need to try to enjoy the path of learning, and the way when you start to learn a new language, you're gonna realize how much is gonna improve the way you see yourself, and the way you've got to communicate within your own self, not even with others, but me nowadays, I can think in English, I can think in Italian, I can think in, and that's so satisfying, that your
mm.
brain works in different languages. It's like your brain is divided in different departments, we could say.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. And I think another thing, a more practical thing that you could do, because I think, yeah, not everyone can be passionate about the language they're learning. Not everyone can be passionate about English. You can't force it, as you said. But
You just can't.
yeah, for example, if you're passionate about music, I think it's possible to combine your passion with something that you need to do, like learning English. So yeah, you listen to English music, maybe write a song in English, whatever you
Yeah,
enjoy. I think that could be a good method for people as well, for learners.
absolutely. For example, if you like music, try to listen to music in English, then you look for the lyrics, you look for the meaning of those lyrics,
Hmm.
and you are gonna learn something for sure, but we come again to the thing of the limitations. Usually, we limit ourselves very much. It's way easier to limit ourselves rather than to try and go the extra mile. And
Mm.
I think this comes from also the educational systems, because I think, from a very early age, like curiosity should be encouraged in schools, because if you don't encourage curiosity from a very early stage, what you are going to create is judgmental adults, and although as far as I'm concerned, in England or in the UK, the educational system is way more open-minded than in Spain,
Oh, really?
especially from my experience in university. It's very like they motivate you a lot as an individual,
Hmm.
blah blah blah. But
Okay.
this university level, so I think that we need to encourage curiosity, because if you form curious individuals, these individuals, when they get to an adult stage, they will be curious forever, so they will always want to learn and to expand their knowledge. But if you don't, they will be judgmental and they will always have fear of the unknown.
Hmm.
Or they will say, oh, why do I want to learn this? Or why? Oh, this is impossible, or this is that, or you will create all these thoughts that are based on the educational system, and maybe for wrong parenting as well, we could say. But it's all a system thing,
Hmm. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I think curiosity is such an underrated characteristic. I think it's, yeah, that's one of the best things you can be. I think it's good for learning, good for life. Yeah.
Yeah,
Should
yeah,
try to be.
because if you are curious about other cultures, or whatsoever, you can always keep on learning things, and
Hmm.
that's fascinating. Some people would say, oh, why would you learn, you know, let's say a language that is spoken only for 500,000 people? Or why not? Why not would I want to learn about this? Because the base of any culture is a language and religion.
Hmm.
So if although it's how are you in a language, you already know a lot of that culture, because
Hmm.
that's been with them for hundreds or thousands of years, so it's so fascinating as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because just yesterday, I haven't told anyone yet because who knows if I'll continue. But I started learning Cornish, which is the
Yeah, from
language of,
Cornwall.
yeah, yeah, exactly, the language of my area of England in Cornwall. But literally, it's like a couple hundred people speak it as a second language. Like it's one of the smallest languages you can think of. But yeah, it's just that connection to the culture, the history. My family's history, I suppose. Yeah, just curiosity. It's not probably going to be that useful, but I think it's good to have that attitude of curiosity, learning, and
Yeah, absolutely.
helps
For
you through
example,
life.
yeah, and well, in that particular case, it's your own culture, so
Mm,
we all should be interested in our own culture, because we are a product of that,
yeah, definitely.
and
As you
this
said
is what
before,
it
yeah.
is, because if you were raised in Gambia, you know you will have an influence from Gambian culture. Is that correct?
Mm,
So I think we all should try to be a bit more curious about our own culture, and as a consequence of that, we will be curious about other cultures, because I think that's something fascinating. And maybe racism will decrease, and other boundaries or limitations that we impose to ourselves, or
hmm.
because I think we all have the choice to get rid of all those limitations. Because I accept that when I was younger, I was way more racist. I had way more prejudice about many things, but also I came to London, which really helped me. It humbled me in many aspects. But yeah, I think that that's something that every individual should try to do for their own self. Not as an outcome, just as a process of getting rid of all of those boundaries I've been mentioning.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, curiosity leads to open-mindedness, right? It's a good thing to
Exactly.
adopt. Yeah. So if you've ever heard a previous like episode I've done with a guest, you might know there's one question I ask everyone because I think it's kind of interesting, but also probably useful to hear about. And this is any mistakes you've made. So
Oh yeah.
have you ever made like a kind of embarrassing or funny mistake in English or maybe any language you're learning?
And I'm still making loads of mistakes, especially pronunciation wise, because it's not my mother tongue, so
It's
I
tough in
cannot know
English, yeah.
how to pronounce every single word perfectly.
Mm.
But an instance of that, I remember one of the first jobs I had here in London. It was in a steakhouse, Argentinian grill in Tower Bridge Road. I was working there as a waiter, and when the guests were finishing their main courses, we will come with a dessert menu, right?
Mm.
And I had been working there for at least 3 or 4 months, and I went to that table. It was a couple of English. It was a husband and wife, and I remember I gave the dessert menu to the lady, and I said, "Would you like any dessert?" You know, she said to me, "No, no, it's not desert. Desert is where you find sun. This is dessert." I say, "Okay, I will forever remember that." That was a very funny one. But I had been saying desert for at least 5 months or
Mm.
3 months. The thing is that English people, they usually don't correct you. They just, okay, look at this. Illiterate.
That's funny. That's really common mistakes. Yeah, don't feel bad about it. But
No,
I
no,
mean,
I don't feel bad about it. It was just something that happened to me.
did you feel bad when she corrected you? Was it embarrassing or was it like like kind of funny? How did you feel?
I mean, it was a bit. She did it in a bit of an arrogant way, we
Ah,
could
okay.
say. But I said, okay, well, I would forever remember that. I mean, I will forever remember how you pronounce it properly,
Mm.
and I did since then. Dessert instead of desert. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was one that I clearly remember, and also another one, because me, I also really like slang.
Hmm.
Okay, like when especially with native speakers, like when I see some friend of mine which is English, or I've got a friend that is from New Zealand, I say, what's the crack with you? What's popping? What's cracking? Like
What's
very slang.
cracking? What's popping?
Yeah, yeah, like very slang expressions, like in a friendly way. And one day I was with this New Zealander, no? That's how you
Yeah.
say it.
New Zealander. Yeah.
New Zealander friend of mine, and I say, "Oh, what's the crack with you?" Blah blah blah. He said, he was started laughing, and I said to him, "You like my slong?" And he said, "Well, what do you mean slong?" Because I thought it was with U instead of A, so I tried to
Ah.
pronounce it like that, because I didn't know how to write it properly. And he started laughing. It was, yeah, another funny anecdote.
Yeah.
But the thing is that although I think my English is quite good, I still don't know how to pronounce like loads of words, and I realize that because now that I'm studying, I'm reading this textbook that we've got. It's about business environment, and I like to read out loud, because I uh, I absorb better what I'm reading, and it also helps me to improve my pronunciation. And I realized that there are loads of words I don't know how to pronounce, and I need to stop reading. I go to Google, and I write it down, and then I put there's this speaker tool that it pronounces the word for
Yeah,
you,
like the audio.
and yeah, the audio, and where you need to put the stress of the
Hmm.
word, the emphasis, And it's a process, I think it's a process that it will take forever, because it's
Yeah.
impossible to get everything right, and that's another thing, you if it's not your mother tongue, as far as you have like a good grammar level, you any native speaker can understand you. I think that's good enough. You don't need to
Hmm.
be too strict with yourself, because
Yeah.
otherwise you are constantly gonna get frustrated.
Yeah, don't have such a high expectation of yourself. I think that's good advice. I wanted to ask about slang as well. So you mentioned you like to
Yeah.
use slang and learn slang. Do you have like a favorite English slang term or anything like that?
Um, well, I've been a lot in East London, so I met a lot of people that they only speak slang,
Yeah.
locals, So, but a favorite, uh, there was a time. Now I don't use it anymore. But I used to a lot. And
So
I
in
used to
it,
use it
like
a lot. And
INNIT.
IT, yeah, that it would be like, isn't it? But you can use it for absolutely everything. Like you're right, I used to use it a lot, and I think my English, that's something that it's a good thing, that I can adapt my English depending who am I speaking to.
Mm.
Like for example, if I'm speaking to you, I'm gonna try to speak more like po- post and more academically, we could say.
Yeah, yeah.
But if me on the street, and someone comes to me, maybe, and I see that they're local people, that they speak this more slang way, maybe I swap myself to more slang English, or maybe I exaggerate more the way I pronounce words, such
Mhm.
as, I don't know, like a lighter. I could say, can I get a lighter? Can I get some water? I can do that. I used to do this a lot before. And
Yeah.
sometimes some people who are native speakers will look at me like, "Are you trying to exaggerate the things?" And I didn't care. Like, yeah, I just exaggerate my pronunciation.
Yeah,
You
just
don't
make it
need to be
fun.
shy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You don't need to be shy, or if they want to judge you, that's their problem.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I want like give me. I want some water in it. Give me some water in it, or give me
Yeah,
some
yeah,
water. Yeah.
yeah, something
Um,
like that. But me,
I
I,
don't
I
speak
know
like
that.
that.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, you don't need to speak like that all the time.
Yeah.
Just in certain occasions, you can go for like, me personally, I did it, and I might do it again, in the future. But it doesn't mean I'm gonna speak like this constantly, because I don't want to speak like too slangy all the time.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think I remembered what I was going to say before. I've got terrible memory, but I think it came back to me. So it's the difference between native speakers and learners. In when you make mistakes, or not you, but when a learner makes mistakes, they're not, they're so hard on themselves. Oh, I've got to have perfect pronunciation. I'm so
Yeah, but
nervous. I don't want to make mistakes. But then, really, like when I speak English, when I'm reading a book, quite advanced book, there's many words where I don't know how to pronounce them. Um, I might even get them wrong with my friends, and maybe they don't know as well. And I don't care, because I don't have this pressure on myself to speak perfectly. So if I make a mistake in English, doesn't matter. But I think it just kind of shows the um, expectation like a learner might put on themselves. Like, I have to speak perfectly. I want to be good at English, and therefore they'll feel bad when they make a pronunciation mistake. So I think it's important not to put those um, unrealistic and high expectations on yourself, isn't it?
yes, and that is based on complexes, therefore they are again limitations,
Hmm.
because complexes are limitations. So, some people, well, English or British people in general, they are very polite. So if your English is bad, they would say that your English is good. Okay, yeah, your English is good. But if they mean that it's good, they will say that it is absolutely phenomenal or something like that.
Yeah, they'll exaggerate. Yeah.
So yeah, they will go the extra mile. So, they usually won't make you see how good or bad your English is. But sometimes you can see in their faces like, oh, this guy has got an accent or something. You don't need to care about this. You need to care about if they understand you. That's it, to start with.
Yeah.
And accent wise, that is something that kind of obsessed me a lot in the beginning, because, oh, they recognize where are you from. always, no? And people, oh, are you from here? Or are you from there? That's not something very nice sometimes, like it's a bit invasive, like you are just classifying me because of my accent. But then I realized that it's something that it's gonna be with me forever. Maybe at some point of my life, if I keep on like mimicking or trying to improve and improve, I can get to a point where I've got like a neutral accent that maybe a native speaker doubts where my English accent is from. But in any case, I will have an accent. And everyone's got an accent. You've got an accent too, Michael, from Southern England, because it's not your accent is not the same as someone who is from Birmingham, for example, because I actually had an argument with a with a couple in a bus from Leeds. They told me, oh, where is your accent from? Yeah, and I said, yeah, from Spain. Oh, okay. And I said to them, but do you realize that you have an accent too? And they didn't want to accept they had an accent. And the accent from Leeds, it's quite strong. So I thought, okay, how cheap ignorance can be,
Yeah.
that people, they think they are native speakers, so they don't have an accent. Of course you do have an accent, and that's not something which is bad. It's just part of who you are, as far as you understand me and I understand you, an accent doesn't make a difference. It's plain and simple.
And to be honest, your compared to me, your accent is probably more similar to me than someone from Birmingham, maybe.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really mean much. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it as well. Sometimes I don't meet many people these days because of the pandemic, but in London, people might say, "Oh, where are you from?" Because they might hear I'm not from here, perhaps. And I feel very proud when I can say, Cornwall and where I'm from. And I think that's a good attitude to have, rather than thinking, "Oh, they know I'm an outsider." You can like proudly say where you're from, and it might lead to a nice conversation about Spain or something, right?
Exactly. And usually people, they love Spain or they
Yeah,
love
yeah,
Barcelona. They are, oh,
totally.
why are you here? Being from there, it always leads to this kind of conversation. But we create our complexes like, oh, I don't want to be recognized or whatsoever. I feel less than them because I've got a foreign accent. Now that's bullshit. Pardon my French, but but yeah, you just need to get rid of all these complexes and just. I just spoke to a native speaker. He or she understood me. That's enough.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
Okay.
that's enough to start with. Because if your English is bad, really bad, they will not understand you.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Because you need a basic level of pronunciation and of a structure. Otherwise, they will say, "Oh, well, what are you saying, man? I cannot understand what you're saying." So if you pass to that point, that's good enough. I mean, don't be too hard on yourself because otherwise you will be feeling bad with yourself forever.
Yeah. Well, I really loved everything you had to say today. I think there's so many great quotes and things you said, so I might have to kind of pick out some key takeaways and like put them in quotes on the blog post or the show notes. But before we do finish up today, do you have like any kind of online presence or anything you want to kind of advertise or talk about at the end, or are you just happy to share your knowledge?
You know what happens, I've got a quote for you regarding social media, because I didn't deleted the account, but I deleted the apps in my phone. I don't use Facebook or Instagram anymore. I'm not active because I came to the conclusion that modern life is such an unholy mix of voyeurism and exhibitionism, and people are perpetually broadcasting their internal and external selves, and I don't want to be a part of it. For yourself, it's different because you are trying to like promote yourself or whatever you do, which
Yeah.
is understandable. But for me, it wasn't. So I'm just gonna conclude my interview with that quote
That's
here.
amazing. That's is that your quote or somewhere you got from somewhere else?
I got it from somewhere else, but
Oh,
I
I
pick
love it.
I pick from
Steal
different
it.
places, and then I steal. Exactly, I steal from different places, and then I make them from my own. But yeah, Yeah, that would be it.
Okay, cool. So, is there anything you want to say before we say goodbye today? Any last words of wisdom?
No, it would be everything for today. It's been an absolute pleasure.